Right. Right, good morning. Good morning. Hold on, what's going on here? Right, give me a moment. I'm trying to get this shit sorted out. Right, I'm not familiar with this live streaming, so I'm just trying to get used to it. Just let me know if you can see the stream all right. Morning, Satish Drush. Can you see the stream all right? Can you hear me all right? Just let me know, please. Select a new key. I think we should be good. Right, that's fine. Right, I'm gonna go over gold in a moment. Let me just get this out the way. Right, that's good. Okay. Right, let's start with FX then, shall we? Right, morning. Hope you're having a good morning. It's currently 8 a.m. here in the United Kingdom. I'm currently in one position, which is crypto. I'm gonna go over that momentarily, but first thing I'm gonna start with is
some brands sponsor athletes for
the. Stop that. Start is with DXY. Okay. Now, if I go on DXY. 4 hours, let me close this. Right, so if you watched Smart Money Sundays, I don't know if you have, but I basically went over what I was looking for on the US dollar index, okay? After we got a sweep of that low, I was looking for a resurgence in price for a reclaim of $100. Now, we did get that reclaim, but now price is actually, after taking that liquidity point, the highs at $100, we're now seeing a sort of a pullback, which is completely normal, right? Now, I still do think we're going to gain and push above $100 on the DXY, okay, after this SFP of this low, okay, but after a pullback. So see this level here, this level at $99. I think this level is very, very crucial for the DXY. So right now we're actually pulling back, but I think we're gonna see as long as price holds this level, I think we should see price start to take out that high at $100. However, if we fail or if we just keep ranging at this level, I think we could very likely pull back deeper into the $97 region. Okay. However, I don't think that's gonna be the case. Okay. The only thing that would make me more cautious is, again, if we just keep ranging. Okay. If price keeps testing the lows multiple times, that means liquidity is being built in this area, and then we'll likely target that liquidity. Okay, so that's the only scenario in which I'd be cautious. But for now, I'm looking for a rejection from $99 for a push retest of $100 again on EU. All right, let's push over to Euro USD. Let me make sure this is the right. Yeah, right. So EU. Right. So again, I covered this on Monday, I believe. I was looking for price to basically come into. Let me go my monthly levels. Right. I was basically looking for price to come into 1.16 before looking for a reversal. Right. Again, in line with the DXY, which is negatively correlated with EU. what I'm in essence hoping to see here is price pull back into the 50% level of this POI, which is 1.16344. Okay, a little extended push into this level. And then from there, I want to look for lower time frame rejection. Ideally, what I want to be seeing on the lower time frame. So this is on the 4 hour. What you want to be seeing on the minute 5 and the minute 15 is basically clear consecutive order flow like this. Okay, where you're seeing price, right, making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. Okay, that will be a clear indication that price is ready to target this low here. Okay. Another thing I do like in terms of price action here, okay, right, is we're sort of seeing these 3 taps, right? If I move this to the left, we're seeing these sort of 3 taps in distributions, right? Where you have 1 high, 2 high, and then a potential 3rd drive here, right? Which could front run this zone slightly, but I think I'll rather be patient and wait to see how PA develops here. But I think this will offer a clean sort of bearish setup on EU. Again, looking to target out the high, given that the DXY holds that key level that I referenced at $99. Okay, does that make sense? Right, let me push over to gold now. Now, again, I referenced this before. We had on gold. Right, we had an SFP of these lows here, right? This liquidity pocket here. These lows got taken out, okay, and then we had price surge up about 7%, which is a good amount. The reason why I'm looking at this particular POI is because this was the zone in price that took out this high before it broke this internal structure, okay? Because from this high, right, to this low, it's about 10% decrease in price. So there's a lot of money sitting at this level. There's a lot of sell orders, right? Because it took liquidity from both sides of the zone before it broke structure. So this is the main zone I'm looking for a potential reversal in zone on gold. Now, again, if you do look to take this short on gold, you need to wait for more confirmation, right? Mainly because on gold, we're on a much higher time frame bullish trend, right? Price is making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Okay, so when you're in a high, when price is, at sort of a particular point, what you'll likely see is some sort of rejection, right? If it's a big level, before continuation in price. Okay, now again, I'm still bullish on the higher time frames, but I think we'll likely see some sort of rejection from this key level on gold at $4,200. Okay, the best way to map it out is look for the 50% level, right? Usually like to mark out my zones from there. It just helps refine my zones. Okay, but ideally want to see a resurgence into, you'll see how I already have alerts set here at $4,300. Okay, before looking for, again, some sort of lower time frame confirmation. Okay, where price looks to be breaking down slightly. Now, where I'd be looking to TP is very, very simple, right? First zone would be at 41 for shorts, and then the second zone would be around 4,030. Okay, that is basically what I'm looking for. Ideally looking for high time frame swing setups for longs for price to take out this high, given that price is actually holding this level. Okay. Right, let's push. Okay, now I'm not gonna make this stream too long because it is early, but I just want to be concise and straight to the point. I'm gonna try do these every day during London or New York session. Today, I'm just gonna cover London. Depending on how PA is, I might cover late New York. So I don't know, because I do have some errands to run later on in the day, but I'll update in the Telegram, so make sure you're following that if you aren't already. All right, let's push over to BTC. Now, BTC is where I'm already in a position. Right, BTC. Okay, so BTC has, on the high time frame, has been pretty range bound. Okay, let me just make this like this, right? BTC has been pretty range bound for the past 6-7 months. Okay, now we broke highs on the 10th of July, right? We made new all-time highs, and then highs again at August, right? And then for the final high, which was recent, 6th of October, right? But what you'll see here is we've seen a bit of distributive price action. Okay, 1, 2, 3 drives before we've seen the retest of the range low right here. Now again, I'm playing this as a range, right? These are the range highs, okay, and these are the range lows. Okay, so I am bullish at this level, but that doesn't mean I don't think we could just as easily break below these range lows and retest the yearly open, because there is this key level that I'm going to show you momentarily at 93k, which I do like for a potential bottom before we start reclaiming the previous range again. Okay, I'm going to cover that momentarily. Right now I'm just going to go over the current setup I'm in on the lower time frames. Right now, given I just showed you we're at the range lows, what you'll see here is, right, we had this big wick. Now I was short here on BTC, right? However, my invalidation was the previous all-time high. Price literally wicked out, and if you can see here, which was a bit annoying, as you can see here is where we have 1, 2, 3 distributive taps, right? Before price, what do you see here again? It makes clear consecutive order flow. 1, right, respects the high. 2, again respects the high. 3, right? So this is what I refer to as a consecutive order flow. Now, what you see in consecutive order flow, or before you see a big rally or surge in price, is you usually see something like this, right? You see price at a pivotal, let's say this is a POI zone or a supply level. Price makes a low, right? We have a slower pullback, right, into that level. Price holds that high and then makes a new low, and then does the same thing again, right, where it holds that high before making a new low again. Now this is what you refer to as 1, 2, 3 consecutive order flow. Now my rule of thumb for this specific thing is you usually see it happen 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, right? If that makes sense. Usually that's what you want to be seeing on the lower time frames. And here we saw both scenarios of that. We saw the 3 drives, right, distributive drives, and then we saw 1, right, 2, and then 3, right? The highs are being held before you have a big push down in price, right? Or that big volume enters into the market. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Let me get rid of all this. Okay, now in terms of what I'm seeing now, right, the reason I'm actually in a position here is what we actually saw on BTC is, right, we had an SFP of this big wick. After that big wick got filled, we came back, retested previous value, right, and then came back to SFP or liquidate that low, and then retesting that higher time frame range, right? We're still on a higher time frame range, if you remember, right? Now if I push down a little further, right, so what you'll see, right, this is a value from Monday. Let me go a little high. Right, this is the value from Monday. Okay, if I go from here, this is the value I was looking at. This is the value area low, value area high. This is where basically most of the volume is taking place in the day or in the week. Okay, now what you'll usually need to map out if you're new to this, I'll make a YouTube video for this separately if you guys want. But usually what you want to be mapping out is the value area low, which is the low, and the value area high, right? Which you'll see these mapped out. These are very, very important levels. This is where a lot of the buying volume, the most buying volume took place, and where the most selling volume took place. And the point of control is the highest volume zone, right? Where the most orders were executed, which is this zone, the red zone, the volume of control. Now, where I was in a long yesterday with the team, any of the members will know what I'm referring to. We were in longs here, price pushed up. I luckily got a break even after price rejected the weekly open, and then got stopped out at break even at here, like something like this. right? Ideally, I was looking for a retest of the monthly open. Didn't get that, but now this morning, right? What I saw this morning was SFP of this low, right? This low got liquidated and a retest of the point of control. Okay, so it's showing me that the value area low is still being held, and this value area low is the monthly, it's the higher time frame value area low, and that is being respected currently. Okay, so for me currently, as long as these lows are being held, I think we're very much in for at least a rally into the monthly level, or at least a retest of the monthly level. Because basically what you're seeing, if I clean up my charts a little bit, let me go on another chart actually, make it a bit more easier to illustrate. Right, now this is a chart I actually shared on Telegram, I believe, where a few months ago, right, where we had accumulation, expansion, right, and then where I actually shared up here where I was expecting price to retest the lows of the range, and I said this is the ideal zone that most buyers are going to get scared. Okay, and this would be the ideal zone to be a buyer. So I'm just sticking to my plan from the past few months. Okay, so what we've seen here again, SFP, right? We've had this price take out the low, right? After price already took out the high of this mid range, right? Now price is holding that low. Okay, as you can see here, I'm looking for price to basically reclaim the weekly. Okay, now if we see a reclaim of the weekly level, which is 104.5, I'm going to be looking to add into my buys a bit more aggressively, because I'm only in for 1 hour risk currently, but I'm going to be looking for a resurgence back into the monthly level of 110k. That is the main target for my longs. Okay, if that makes sense. So if I push down a little, hold on a lower time frame, let me push in. Okay, here we are. Go to this. Right. Okay. So we had this previous trend, as you can see, this trend line, the lows held, SFP, the low. Right. What is more important, after the low was respected, right? Price pushed up, held that low again. Right. That's the second time. Pushed up. It didn't break internal structure, but it held previous value. This dotted line is value, a value area low, and then pushed up higher. Took that internal structure here. So that is a BOS, right? So the way structure wise, the way I'm seeing this is basically, so SFP of the high time frame low, right? The low is held, which is a good thing, right? Price breaks previous structure, which is here on the left, and then we have a smaller complex pullback, right? In this pullback, this is where you basically see that sellers are starting to slow down, right? This is a clear indication of momentum. Now, when you see momentum slow down like this, it's easy to see that price is likely ready to, buyers are ready to step back in again, right? And push price higher. And that's basically what we're seeing structure wise, right? You see the lows being held, right? And then you have a sort of a pullback where buyers keep stepping in each time, right? Now, the final inclination for me to step in aggressively on my buys is a reclaim, right? Reclaim of that weekly level. Once that we see a reclaim of the monthly level, I'm going to aggressively add into my buys and ride this sort of as an intraday position, right? Again, on the lower time frames, so my tights will be more tighter, but to basically catch that sort of volume. Okay, now today is supposed to be CPI. Now, if I go on the economic calendar for today, right, so you'll see it says non-applicable. Now, today we're supposed to be having CPI, which is a big driver in price in particular, right? Unfortunately, from what I've seen or what I've heard, its CPI has been delayed as the government shut down extend, which is fucking annoying. I thought I heard yesterday that they were voting to end it, but apparently that's not yet. So yeah, so the CPI, October CPI report, originally scheduled for Thursday, is now expected to be delayed as the government shutdown continues to restrict daily operations. The prolonged funding deadlock leaves the Fed and the market without a crucial inflation benchmark heading into the final weeks of the year. Dollar momentum weakened and uncertainty equities stabilized but remain data sensitive. So yeah, I think that, next month we're likely going to see it. I had to double check, so I had to check on Google too. But yeah, it's not going to be taking place today. So in terms of volume, we're not going to get that CPI volume, which I was expecting. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting that today. But we should see some volume step into the market into New York session. But ideally, again, structure-wise, this is what I'm looking for. The lows are held. We had that momentum shift, right? Structure is broken. And then we have a slowdown from sellers, right? Showing that buyers are ready to step back in. Now, the final confirmation is waiting for that reclaim of the weekly level, right? I'm already in longs, but this is where I'll look to aggressively step on the risk side of things and step into longs, again, targeting the 110K region on BTC, right? Now, ETH is very, very similar. If it decides to load, right? ETH is similar to what I was, let me go on here, for what I've been looking for, right? Again, this is my current long. My invalidation are the lows at the 99K region. Okay, again, SFP, expecting price to reclaim the weekly and then start trading back into value area high. Okay, so that's sort of the game plan. Now ETH's again similar, right? Structure is very, very same. Now ETH made a new low, right? But as you can see, again, similar, it retested that yearly level, right? We had the SFP of the low, right? The lows are holding here, right? Lows are holding here too. And then we have, again, internal structure break here. Price breaks up higher. Again, break structure internally, showing that buyers are ready to step back in. And then what do we have here in terms of momentum? You have a slow pullback, right? 1, 2, 3. Price pulls a little deeper, pulls up, deeper, pushes up. Okay, now you're probably thinking this could be sort of counted as order flow, right? Because price is tapping into a region and making a low, tapping into a region and making a new low, tapping into a region. You would be correct, right? However, the reason I don't see it as that is basically because of momentum, right? The way you want to be seeing order flow, right, consecutive order flow, is you want to see a fast drop and then a slow momentum pullback, right, back into that high, right, and then a fast drop again, and then again a slower pullback, right? That is very, very important. You need to see that momentum slow down, right, showing you that buyers are slowing down in this scenario to then step back in again for sales, right? That's what you ideally want to be seeing. But here, however, what are you seeing, right? The lows are held after a big liquidation event, right? Call it a stop hunt. Prices making new highs internally, right? And then what do we see, right? Buyers keep stepping in. Buyers step back in, right? It makes a new low here, but then buyers step back in aggressively, right? Made a new low here, and then buyers are stepping back in very, very aggressively. Okay, so again, I'm not long on ETH yet, but the way I'm going to be looking to play ETH, right? If we see a pullback into New York, into 35, and it holds, I will look to get into longs. But the main zone where I'll be looking to, step in on risk, right, is at this level, right? Value area low, right? This value area low is a monthly value area low. Okay, so don't be confused. This is a previous value area low of the previous month's range. So the way, which is still a valid zone, the way I want to see it play is price breaks above the weekly level here and previous value and holds. If it holds, then I'm going to very simply take that long again into the $4,000 level. Okay, again, my stop will be dependent on where the low is made into London session, basically. Okay, again, first target will be monthly open, second target will be 4K. Now you're probably thinking, why 4K in particular? It is a psychological level, which is very, very important, but is also there's a cluster of orders here. If I illustrate a little better, there's a cluster of orders basically sitting at around the 4K level, right? 4K level you'll see here. Let me just do it like that. Right, it's easy to see. So that's basically where I'm looking for price to actually have a push up into, right? Take out all this sort of cluster of orders at around 4K level before we can potentially looking for price to push back down again, basically. Okay, similar with BTC. Okay, we do actually have a bunch of orders here below the 99K region, which I do think will eventually come and get taken, but not before the 110K level, right? We have this big cluster here, and this is why I'm cautious of a potential squeeze, because we also have another cluster of orders here. So there's a lot of order liquidity sitting at these levels. So this is why I'm cautious of these lows holding, because it illustrates to me that price is looking to take out this liquidity before we target liquidity actual lower, right, which is all down here. Okay, if that makes sense. Right, let me go back onto ETH. Now, there's another thing that another reason why I'm looking at ETH in particular, which is one of my main setups I'm looking at, is we basically, right, after the lows held and we broke structure and we're having that sort of slower momentum push down, what else you'll see is you'll see an SFP of the low, right? One low's taken, and then what I want to be seeing is the next high taken. Now, if you're a member, you'll know exactly what I'm referring to, right? This is what I call neutralization of liquidity, and this is basically when price basically ranges, right? Takes out one side of the range, right, before taking out the other side of the range. Okay, so it's basically washing both sides of the market before making its true move. Okay, and this is usually what you'll see before the real moves are made in the market. Okay, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. It's one of my favorite setups I look for. So this is why I'm again confluent with my other confluences. This is why I'm waiting, right, for this high to break, and then I hold above value area low of the previous month for this level to hold. Then I'm gonna step in on longs and look to ride this puppy. First target 38, second target 4,000. Okay. Now let me see. Is there anything anyone wants me to cover? Let me go over quickly. Let me just double see. Look, right. We did have a CME gap earlier on in the week that got opened. Right. Price sort of pushed up. Right. Rejected the weekly level. Liquidated buyers before pushing back up again fairly quickly, I must note. So I think this is all just buyers are being accumulated within this level. We sort of have a wedge here, if you want to call it that. Ideally, you want to wait a price to trade above the previous CME gap for that final confluent of price to push up into that monthly level. Okay, if that makes sense. If I go on to ETH. Right, yeah, ETH same thing, no CME gaps, but what you'll notice on ETH is that ETH is actually almost trading above that CME gap that it opened on Monday. So again, need to see price hold this into New York. Ideally, I want to see a flush in New York. All right, I might add in lower risk if I like what I see, and then a continuation higher will allow me to add into the buys for that 4K level, right? If that makes sense. Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm not gonna cover alt. I'm just gonna keep this brief and short. This is just a little, basically a little breakdown of London session. What I'm looking for today in terms of PA. I will go live tomorrow again as well. I'll try to do this as a daily thing if you guys want me to. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. And if anything happens, I'll in terms of setups, if I don't go live, I'll update in the Telegram. So make sure you check out my links in the description down below. But with all that said and done, I'll see you guys